YB stays on your neck.
Okay, no. Jesus Christ, man. I ain't slept at all the last couple of days.
But I didn't have to fast.
Fuck's sake.
Well, that's a miracle of a miracle.
But that's the difference between being a professional and...
I never. I just like. And then she phoned me up and was like, we did it. And I'm like, oh.
I need to keep my hair for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking stitch up. I've passed one just 2 days. And then 1 in a million.
Yo, my dance, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, but obviously hit the bell for notifications. So, we just heard there, Dillian, cover up Whyte, and Eddie, cover up Hearn. Speaking and getting caught recorded on camera and microphone. This was on the night of the fight, before the post-fight interview, and to be honest with you, it could have been a lot more damning if it wasn't for Eddie Hearn's slickness and silver tongueness. You see in this video several times Eddie Hearn like kind of knock Dillian and kind of like Dillian's shouting. Dillian doesn't realise he's on microphones, but Eddie Hearn he's all seeing. He's as silver tongued as you get. And if it hadn't been for Eddie Hearn like measuring Dillian and kind of calming him down, we would have got the full works of the conversation. But before we go into what was actually said, because the Metro, they probably brought some linguists in, and they've actually been able to transcribe what they think was said or what was likely said. And so yeah, before we go into that, the actual official words, it's also worth noting, since I brought it up, in as much as, just quickly, the fact that Eddie Hearn was telling Dillian to be quiet actually almost implies some level of guilt there. Does that make sense? Because why else, if you were talking about, oh, how's your wife and kids, if Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte were talking about how their wife and kids were, would there have been any need to tell him to quiet down? No, there wouldn't have been. So the sheer fact that Eddie Hearn kept knocking Dillian to keep it down implies they're being secretive and being a bit sinister about things. So just bear that in mind whilst we go into this. So what was said? Whyte says, effing hell. Hearn says, alright mate. Whyte says, effing hell. Jesus Christ. I haven't slept at all the last couple of days. Eddie Hearn says, nor have I. But I didn't have to fight. Whyte says, F's sake. Hearn says, mate, that was the miracle of all miracles, wasn't it? Whyte says, that's the difference between being a professional. ... Hearn says, I had everything. I had a statement ready for you to go, and he just phoned me up and was like, we did it. And I was like, oh my god. Whyte says, I need to keep my hair for some reason. It's a effing stitch up. I passed tests in 2 days, and then 1 in a million. So, I'm not going to address the first part of it, they're just kind of saying hello and whatnot. But let's take it from the first part of, which is a bit dodgy. So Whyte says, effing hell, Jesus Christ, I haven't slept at all in the last couple of days. And Hearn says, neither have I. So that implies there's some backstory going on. Something's been going on, which we know. So something on the 17th popped for sure. Hence why they haven't been able to sleep. That's facts. And once again, the fact that Eddie Hearn kept telling him to be quiet, also in... the base has been set now. The base is set. And it gets more damning, because then Hearn says, mate, that was the miracle of all miracles, wasn't it? So what could that possibly be? Now I'm guessing, initially I thought, oh, maybe it was the fight. Because Dillian Whyte then goes on to say, oh, that's the difference between being a professional. So mate, that was the miracle of all miracles. Initially I thought they were talking about, oh, the fact he got to pull through the fight. But then, and I probably would have settled with that, but the fact then they go on to say, Hearn, I had everything. I had a statement ready for you to go. And he just phoned me up and was like, we did it. And I was like, oh my god. So the fact he's been phoned up, because even with the statement part, I thought, okay, maybe Eddie Hearn had a statement about Dillian Whyte's loss already already ready, but that doesn't really make sense because Eddie Hearn was at the fight. So the statement, what I think's gone on is Eddie Hearn had a statement ready for Dillian to put up there and put out there. Yeah, this has happened, A, B, C, D. And you see him in this video, they're all laughing and giggling and kind of celebrating, thinking they've got away with it, thinking they've got away with it going cleanly under the rug. But obviously not. Obviously not. So this isn't nothing to do with the fight. Mate, that was a miracle of all miracles, wasn't it? And I'm pretty sure they're talking about the fact they were able to fight. Because then he goes on to say, I had a statement ready, and he just phoned me up and was like, we did it. And I was like, oh my god. So I'm guessing they're saying, we did it, meaning we got you through. We got you past the test, or not past the test, but we got you through the board. Because we know the board hearing was there. Well, we know they had a board hearing. So I reckon that was, and was like, we did it. It's a bit worrying, because we did what? we did what though? Who did what for you? So for someone to ring you up and say, we did it, what did you do for Eddie Hearn and Dillian? Does that make sense? Shouldn't it have been, we came to the correct decision? Should it not? It shouldn't be, we did it. We did it means to say, you asked me to do something and I've completed it. We did it, oh yeah, we managed to push your decision through. I don't know, it seems a bit, he phoned me up and was like, we did it. I don't know, it seems a little fishy. It seems as if maybe they had a man inside the board who was able to push some sort of agenda. I don't know, but that's what it implies to me. From these words, that's what it implies. That's the facts of it. Eddie Hearn had a statement ready and was expecting for the fight to be cancelled, or was expecting for it to come back not good. Then he gets a phone call from his inside man who tells him, we did it. And I was like, oh my god, what a miracle. And then Dillian Whyte says, and they're all talking about this board decision, because Dillian Whyte then makes a statement which is relevant to this. He says, I need to keep my hair for some reason. And then at first glance, I couldn't work out what he meant by that, but I understand now. What do we know about keeping hair? In order to take, these days, not only blood and urine can be tested, you can also test hair follicles for substances. So, but the problem is, when you test hair follicles, they have to be a certain length, and obviously black people, naturally, we have our hair, like, real low. I think, what is it? Like, well, ones and twos and whatnot. And that's not good enough. You need longer hair to actually test the hair follicles. So, that's what he's saying. I need to keep my hair for some reason. Which will be because of the testing, I assume. But then, in defence of Dillian and Eddie Hearn, this last statement actually does give them some defence. Because he says, it's an effing stitch-up. I passed tests in 2 days. And then 1 in a million. So the first part, I think, helps him a bit. Because he says, it's a stitch-up. So, bearing in mind, he doesn't realise he's being recorded at this point. So, if they knew they were taking the PISS out of everyone, they'd be laughing and giggling and not talking about a stitch-up, would they? So the fact he mentioned a stitch-up implies genuinely he's not sure what's going on. However, in that same sentence, he goes on to say, I passed tests in 2 days, and then 1 in a million. So what do you mean 1 in a million? So, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, oh, I got caught. I got unlucky. I got caught. 1 in a million chance of getting caught, and I got caught. Does that make sense? Because it should have been 1 in. If you know you're clean, if you know you haven't taken something, it should be 1 in infinity, shouldn't it? Does that make sense? 1 in a million implies that, they've caught me on that one day that I shouldn't have been. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But if I knew I was clean, I wouldn't never be calling something 1 in a million. I'd be calling it 1 in. Impossible, 1 in 0, because there's no juice in me. But I don't know. That's my breakdown anyway. And like I said at the start of this video, the fact that Eddie Hearn keeps telling him to be quiet, it implies that throughout this there was something sinister being said. Now we've read the transcript from Metro. I don't know. Let's see what you guys think, man. it's difficult. It's difficult because, yeah, I don't know. There isn't enough here. It's a shame that, as I keep mentioning, it's a shame that Eddie Hearn did tone him down because Dillian Whyte was shouting. We could have got a lot. We could have got a lot more of that conversation if slick, silver-tongued Eddie Hearn wasn't there. But let's see how it plays out. But from this point of view, this transcript, it don't look the best for them. It really don't. The only bit that really supports them is the stitch-up thing. But even that was cancelled out later on. And I'm just looking through it again quickly. We did it. Yeah, I'm sorry. The worst bit for me was Hearn saying that was the miracle of all miracles. What was a miracle? Should you not have known? If you're clean, it wouldn't be. Why would it be a miracle for? Does that make sense? If you know you're clean, there's no miracle there. That's the test come back as it should have come back, isn't it? Put yourself. If you were an athlete and you knew you were clean, yeah, and a dirty test comes up, I wouldn't be calling it a miracle. I'd be saying you got that right. In fact, I'd be going on the offensive. I'd be coming out publicly saying I've been set up. Does that make sense? If you know you're clean, if you know there's nothing in you, you come out on the offensive and say you've tried to set me up or whatever. Or one thing for sure, I wouldn't be talking about a miracle. How would it be a miracle? It'd be doing its damn job. And if anything, I'd be complaining the fact that they've popped me for something that wasn't even there or whatever. And then the last thing, obviously, as I keep mentioning, the man ringing him up and saying we did it. We did what for you? What did you do for them? We did it. What was it? We did what? We pushed the decision through for you. That's the thing that comes to my mind, but I don't know. I'm just pure speculating. Let me know what you guys think below. Do you think it's more damning? Do you think it's supporting? Comment below.